Hello. I would like to express a warm welcome to our Minister of Environment and Spatial Planning, Ms. Irena Maitzen, and all guests present here for the 5th Bled Water Festival in Festival Hall of Bled. I'm sure that you are all here aware of the importance of water and the importance of preserving this natural gift that nature gives us, and we can live and enjoy it. We can take care about our health with drinking water, and of course using it also as a sport venue in the lakes, seas and rivers. And we must be aware that we have to preserve it also for the future. So water, nature, and art are also going together very well. That's why we prepared an exhibition of artists joining an AAMI organization, which takes care about connecting nature and art. So you have an exhibition here in front of the stage and also in our hall outside. The artists will be also present here on our stage, and in front of our stage. You probably saw the movies when the artists on court are actually drawing the happening live. So they will be present here in the hall, and they will make some paintings of that, what will develop here on our stage, and later on you will be also able to see them. And this group, AAMI, is present in Slovenia. They also have branches in Prague and Hong Kong, and now they are developing one branch in London. Some of the artists are already established, known, famous, and some of very young, talented artists, and AAMI is supporting them to develop and to develop better skills, and that they will also be famous. So first I would like to invite the stage our Minister of Environment and Spatial Planning, Ms. Irena Maitzen, to say a few words to the present audience.
Cenjeni gostje, veliko veselje mi je, da vas lahko pozdravim v imenu Ministrstva za okolje in prostor Republike Slovenije, ki je častni pokrovitelj in posebni partner Blejskega vodnega festivala, ki letos poteka že 5. leto zapored. Veseli me, da razprava ter ozaveščanje o pomenu varovanja voda in vodnih virov ne ostane omejena zgolj na vladne in strokovne kroge, kajti ozaveščanje in zavedanje o vodnih virih, ki jih moramo varovati, je pomembno poslanstvo vsakega slehernega posameznika. Jaz vse preberem? Voda je vir življenja in bistvena za zdravje, gospodarstvo in razvoj družbe. Ključna je za doseganje ciljev trajnostnega razvoja, zlasti cilja 6, zagotavljanja dostope do vode in sanitacij, in je v tem smislu tudi strateški vir 21. stoletja. Voda postaja tudi strateški element zunanje politike in ključni geostrateški dejavnik mednarodne varnosti. Voda je pomemben dejavnik zagotavljanja stabilnosti miru, kjer je Slovenija še posebej aktivna pri promoviranju čezmejnega sodelovanja na področju voda v okviru medvladnega panela Voda in mir. V mandatu te vlade, ki se izteka, je bila Ustava Republike Slovenije dopolnjena s 70.a členom, ki ureja pravico do pitne vode. S vpisom te pravice v slovensko ustavo je bila ta pravica v Sloveniji zaščitena na najvišji pravni ravni. Pomembno je, da voda kot naravni vir še naprej ostane javno dobro, saj ne gre za tržno dobrino, temveč dediščino, ki jo je treba spoštovati in varovati, saj so vodni viri omejeni. Z vodo je treba zato ravnati skrbno, celovito in trajnostno, da jo ohranimo v ustrezni količini in kakovosti tudi za prihodnje rodove. Blejski vodni festival s svojim delovanjem pomembno prispeva k ozaveščanju širše javnosti in o perečih problemih voda v Sloveniji ter izven njenih meja. S svojim prizadevanjem skrbi za dvig znanja na področju, kot so upravljanje z vodo in vodnimi viri, podnebnimi spremembami in zelenem ter krožnem gospodarstvu. S vključevanjem sosednjih držav in širitvijo na širšo mednarodno raven pozitivno prispeva tudi k boljši vidnosti Slovenije na mednarodnem področju. Veselje mi je, da lahko tako letos poleg sosednjih držav pozdravim tudi predstavnika Indije, države, ki jo vidimo kot pomembnega partnerja na mednarodni ravni, prizadevanjih za čisto in zdravo okolje ter ohranjanje vodnih virov. Menim, da lahko s skupnimi močmi ter povezovanjem držav, organizacij, izobraževalnih ustanov, mednarodnih strokovnjakov in preostale zainteresirane javnosti medsebojno povezujemo, delimo znanje in skupaj iščemo sodobne rešitve pri upravljanju z vodnimi viri. Želim vam prijetno in konstruktivno razpravo. Vam povem, da sama se žal dogodka v celoti ne bom udeležila, glede na to, da smo danes prav tako na Bledu imeli 7. zasedanje pogodbenic Savskega sporazuma, torej tudi na temo, pomembno temo voda. Lep dan.
So a short recapitulation of what our minister said. It's a big pleasure to be here and in the name of the Minister of Environment and Spatial Planning, which is an honorable sponsor and special partner of Bled Water Festival, this time for the 5th time. So the minister is very glad that not only the state and professional organizations are taking care about the water, but also initiatives like Bled Water Festival spread the awareness of importance to preserve water and water sources. And in these 4 years, as this government in Slovenia achieved also a big success to implement the Constitution of Slovenia, to implement in the Constitution of Slovenia the right to drinkable water. So everybody can and has right to drinkable water, which is very important because the water sources and water are not unlimited, so they are also not the matter of trading and economy, but they have to take care about bringing countries together in this effort to combine and to preserve water. Bled Water Festival contributes a big part to awareness and also to spread the idea of preserving water and water sources and also important participants to green and sustainable economies around. The minister is also very glad that this year, besides the neighbor countries which participated on this festival earlier, we can also have guests here from India, the country which we see as important in the world, also because of taking care of water and natural sources. So the minister wishes to all participants of these panels and this event constructive debate and pleasant time here in Bled. She excused herself that she won't be able to be present on all activities on this festival, because today here in Bled she was participating in the summit of Sava River Convention, and this is also important part to participate by preservation of water sources and water. I would like to excuse the guest who was planned to say a few words, Mr. Ramre Naik Nimbalkar from India, chairman of the Maharashtra Legislative Council from India, but they couldn't arrange all the schedules together with our presidents. They would like to meet our president, Mr. Pahor, but the schedules of both the delegation of India and our president, they couldn't find the right time to meet. So part of the delegation from India didn't come to Slovenia, but we have some guests from India, of course, here. So, as next, I would like to invite to our stage Mr. Tomaž Rogel, the manager of Bled Tourist Board, to say a few words.
Dobrodošli. Welcome to Bled. Bled is one of the top tourist destinations in Slovenia, and we strongly support this water festival. We would also like to support wine festival, but we don't grow wine here, so water is not only our second choice, but it's a very good choice. Water is so important to us. Water symbolizes everything, or maybe a lot of things why people come to visit this place. This is the lake, the tranquility, the clean water is the beginning of the life. And when we try to explain what Bled offers to people, is exactly that: security, tranquility, the natural environment. And we want to keep it also for the future like this. And I know that people like this. We want to keep it this way and even improve it, but we know we cannot improve it. So I wish you all the best in this water festival. We'll support it also in the future. And yeah, enjoy Bled. Thank you.
And if you will walk around the lake later in the free time, Bled Tourist Board and Municipality Bled took care about the water, so they set some tubs around the lake that whenever you go, you can fill a bottle of water and drink a fresh, natural water here in Bled. And now I would like to invite to the stage the presenter from our guest from India, Mr. Yogesh, to come to the stage for signing the agreement of partnership between Bled Water Festival and so I would also like to invite Mr. Mario Gajic to come to the stage. Agreement between Bled Water Festival and Indian organization which also takes care about water. So I think this partnership will go further. So this agreement between Ashkai Foundation Water Investment in India and Bled Film Festival will help that Bled Water Festival will also help to this big Indian market to develop fresh water development and preserving the water. And I would like to ask Mr. Yogesh Yoshi to say a few words to the present audience.
Good evening, everybody. This is my first visit to Slovenia and Bled. And I'm extremely delighted to have a friend, to find a friend like Marco and his brother. I'm also delighted at this moment to sign the first ever Memorandum of Understanding in between the Bled Water Festival and the Akshay Foundation. Let me introduce myself in a very short. I have spent 35 years with the House of Tatas, India's #1 industrial or the corporate house, working for Tata Steel, which is 5th largest producer of steel in the world. I was heading the Public Relations and Corporate Communications Department for the company and was also engaged in the corporate social responsibility. Through Tata Steel Rural Development Society, we had organized many campaigns for Save Water. Water is a limited commodity, and maybe after a few years, it will show its scarcity. In India, other than Hinduism, we practice something called Parsis. Tatas are Parsis. And in both scriptures, maybe 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, it has been written that a time will come when there will be a war only because of water. And today, I would also say that if there is Third World War, it would not be for the political reasons, not be for boundary sharing, but it would essentially be for the water sharing. Look what is happening in South Sudan and Sudan. There's a lot of infighting essentially because of water and a lot of unrest. In between two countries with the same religion, they parted their ways maybe a few years ago. I'm extremely delighted and very happy that Akshay Foundation, Akshay, the meaning of Akshay means something which is immortal, something that has no death. And this is very relevant because water is one thing. As long as you drink water, you cannot die. In India, there are monks who have lived for hundreds of years drinking only water. And there is no substitute for water. I'm delighted, I'm very happy that I'm signing this first ever Memorandum of Understanding with the Bled Water Festival. I congratulate Bled Water Festival for doing this wonderful program for the last 5 years, and also would like to extend all my support in the years to come. This year, unfortunately, for certain reasons, we had planned for a very huge delegation of 20 people, which would have been headed by the chairman of the upper house of Maharashtra, which is my own state. India has 29 states, and Maharashtra is the richest state. The commercial capital of India is Bombay, which is now known as Mumbai, and I belong to the city of Mumbai. Unfortunately, due to certain reasons, the delegation couldn't come. Otherwise, we plan to have at least 20 people, and all of them are elected members of the upper house and the secretary of the upper house. Well, I take all the knowledge that would be shared over here and the best practices that we can introduce in between Slovenia, India, and to the rest of the world. Bled has been a great experience. I have arrived over here, and I would only say this is one of the beautiful places I have seen in the world. This is my 52nd country that I have visited, and Bled is amazing. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yogesh, and I hope next time you come with a big delegation to Bled. And now we will continue with our program, and that will be the panel with the thematic how to deliver knowledge and how to include young people into the story of water. So I would like to invite Mr. Adrian Bakic to the stage. He will lead the debate. And I would like to invite all the participants on the debate, Mr. Mitja Bricel, Secretary on the Ministry of Environment and Spatial Planning from Slovenia, Mr. Mihail Jožef Toman, Vice Dean of Biology, University of Ljubljana Biotechnical Faculty, Slovenia. I must excuse Ms. Mara Tonino, the lead international law advisor for Genova Water Hub, Switzerland, because her flight has delayed, so she will join us later. But we are glad that we can invite Ellen Galikaro from International Commission for the Protect of Danube River. Then I would like to invite Ms. Ana Kambic, Sava Youth Parliament representative. Mr. Yogesh Yoshi is already on the stage, or will come back to the stage. ABCI India, and Mr. Matjaž Hrovat, Engineering and Energy Solutions, Petrol DD Slovenia. And I would pass the microphone to Mr. Adrian Bakic to continue with the debate.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from my side as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope Mr. Joshi will join us as well. I'll start with saying in water management, the knowledge is the key, because without the knowledge, we cannot do anything. And additionally, it is important that we include different sectors, different institutions, different generations, and different knowledge. So I think we have a very nice panel of guest speakers here to go really deep into the topic and to hear some different points of view and some solutions. And I will go directly to our first guest, and I will start this time with Ms. Ana Kambic. You've been last week in, you're representative of Youth Parliament of Sava River Basin. Last week you've had meeting in Bohinj. As I know, you've been mostly talking about tourist potentials of the Sava River Basin. What would you say? Where do the young people see the possibilities of local areas to develop sustainable tourism? There's a microphone.
Yes. Thank you for the question. I'm the new president of the Sava Youth Parliament. We mostly see the potential such as showing the local identity, such as natural and cultural heritage, like gastronomy, architecture, and other things. So we also did some messages at our parliament. One is that if you have already been here, then you should get to know your local environment. So from that, you should know what we're looking for. So other two messages. are also let the nature dictate tourism products related to the various sports activities, entertainment, and cuisine, and not vice versa. So we have to still be very we have to let the nature as it is now, not to damage the
Even more.
diamonds of our nature. And the third one, better quality tourist offered depends on the properly target information and education on all levels. So we should connect the tourism and the local guides.
Okay.
So these are the main things. Thank you.
Thank you for the beginning. Mr. Britzer, you are one of co-founders of Sava Commission. How do you see the role of young people, and do they get the knowledge that exists to develop different projects?
Thank you very much. I believe yes and no. In general, yes, but practically, unfortunately, not so much or not enough. And this is something what I'm very worried about, because we do have excellent opportunities to share the knowledge, to share the data, to share nice videos if you want, and everything what is possible via media. But unfortunately, it's not, let's say, oriented for the local solutions, for the local, very concrete circumstances where the, let's say, not just younger population is, but also we are. And what to do with this, let's say, eutrophication of information to focus ourselves for appropriate, if we can often say, sustainable solutions. Who will show the way? I believe education is or should help us. Even media, they should do their work. But unfortunately, here is some sort of gap. This is my experience, and that's why we are so happy that we are trying to open the eyes and to invite the younger generation into the International Commission to be the part of this process of the even ministerial, let's say, interventions, political declarations, and program of works of in the shared river basin. Youngsters are the most appropriate, I would say, target group, because we are responsible for the situation which is now. And they are coming, and they are not guilty for the situation which we're creating. And now is the time to demonstrate partnership, responsible partnership, to open and to help them to open the eyes, to monitor us, what we are doing for more sustainable tomorrow, not to mention climate change adaptation and all problems created by us. This is something where I see huge potential, huge challenge, and huge responsibility. And this is what I'm happy to make and to conclude, that the conclusions of our today's Sava Commission meeting here, meeting of the parties, is very much oriented on these tasks to bring the younger generation into the middle, to the ground, and what then? It's the question for the later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Toman, Mr. Brisel mentioned the role of education. You are working with students. What would you say, from your experience, what is the best way to pass the knowledge to next generation so that they're worried of the water issues as well?
Thank you for the question. what I can say, university is not the first step for education. We have students interesting for some field, you know, some topics. We have to start in very early year in education process. Because when you have people oriented mainly for business, for work, for, I don't know, research, especially if we have a natural science, students are more connected with the research, you know, not only with education. So our role is much more complicated than in the first step of education. So the problem I see in most countries is the problem is a gap between policymakers, education, and the knowledge. So it's the policymaker, local, state, and so on, and one side, and then you have research and scientific work in the other side. And it's almost the problem how to explain the most important problems we have today. In Slovenia, it's completely different compared to India and to Africa. We have a lot of water, and we have, but the question of quality is the question all over the world. It's not the question of quantity of water. And education is not... What's up? Okay. Education is not only something in the school or in the university and so on. Media is one of the most important part of how we educate people, how we educate all society, and how to say, from my point of view, media is only involved in some environmental problem if we have catastrophic events, if we have some problems with drinking water, for instance, if we have a problem with health and so on, but not education in how to say, in the way what is the importance of water in our life. It's not only water for drinking, you know. Water is all a natural source for the whole living organisms. And that's the problem, how we connect water. We normally connect water mainly in relation to human being. But human being is only one part of that problem. So we have to explain what means water in environment, not only water in society, but also in the environment. So that's the most, how to say, hard work in education in all levels.
Okay, thank you very much. You are mentioning the thing that maybe here in Slovenia or in Europe, we take water for granted, but if we move with you, Mr. Joshi, probably with climate change and the growing population, India is an example where the knowledge that having water or not having water is the most important. How do you see that?
Okay, to share something, when I started day before yesterday from India, and I arrived here yesterday, it was 45 degrees. And today, I get a news that the city, that is city of Bombay, where I live, is totally flooded and is now 25 degrees. It's been pouring and pouring and pouring for the last 24 hours in the city of Bombay. I call it Bombay, now it is known as Mumbai, but I have grown calling it as Bombay. So pardon me if I call it as Bombay. The main problem for water in India, as you said rightly, it is not the quantity. We have utmost quantity, but it is the quality. And I'm very happy to share one more thing, that the company that I was working for 35 years, Tata Steel, you can actually see Jamshedpur, the township that we have built up around the industry, iron and steel industry. We challenge that you open any tap of water and it is a drinkable water. We have introduced a filtration system wherein water gets filtered thrice. This is something which we have been pursuing. There is one municipal corporation who has already adopted that. Now, to answer your question, is 70% of human body is actually works on water. So that is the requirement of water to human being. And day by day, the good quality of water that we are getting is diminishing. The quantity is coming down of a drinking water. And that is the reason for big countries like India, China, Russia. We need to come together to find out what are the technologies wherein we can convert a hard water into a drinking water. I had visited Israel. Israel gets 6 to 7 centimeters of rain, not inches, 6 to 7 centimeters. But look at Israel. Water resource management is one of the best. It has got all enemy countries around. It has the same desert land. And yet Israel has made wonders that it can grow tomato, potato, all vegetable, flowers, so on and so forth, which the neighboring countries can't. This is exactly the key factor of the water resource management. I would like to give one more example before I end, and that is, Israel at least has one nadi for namesake called Jordan River. Okay? Look at Singapore. It pours every day. But there is no river. And yet, the way Singapore has managed the water conservation program, I have seen all these things, is something that we need to take away from these things so that in the years to come, that will meet our requirements, our demand for the quality of water. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will continue with you, Mrs. Maslia. You are active in river basin management in Danube River. We are talking a lot about Sava Basin River, but could you share your experience with your work with us, maybe to learn something for our experience from your experience?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you for having me here. It's really an honor to be here. The ICPDR, the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River, is really an example of how cooperation can work in water resources management. You look at countries that are different. You know, you have a difference in GDP between, let's say, between Germany and Romania or whatever else other country I take. But the goal is the same. We're all working to preserve our water resources. And I have the head of delegation of Slovenia next to me, to the ICPDR, so he can definitely speak even better than me. But I can say that the ICPDR is really a true champion of water resources management and of having countries understand that beyond political differences, beyond social differences, there's one goal, one common goal, and it's to preserve water for the next generations, because you are the future. We are, the whole work that we are doing, we are counting on the young people to continue that work later. I'll just be very brief, but the ICPDR basically bases its work on the activities of all the experts in the countries. We have a lot of experts, about almost 300 of them, working on different issues related to water resources management. And the work of these experts is invaluable. There's a wealth of information in the ICPDR, but there's also an understanding that we need to make the public understand that this is their water. You know, there's a say, basically, you always have to add water to your mix, whatever mix you have. So we have plenty of mixes, and we have plenty of decisions to make, and we need to have water in mind all the time when we do that. So what we do, the ICPDR is very, very fortunate to have an expert group devoted to public participation. So that expert group makes sure that every year on the 29th of June, we celebrate the Danube, the Convention for the Protection of the Danube River. So every year, around the month of June, actually, because we can't always have it exactly precisely on the 29th, there are a lot of festivities, and every year we get more and more young people involved for the Danube all over the basin, and it's a huge thing. The festivities last year had about 27,000 participants. That's a lot, and that's an example for the world. And what we work on is information. That's what Professor was talking about. Information is really a crucial point of interest. We have to make all the inhabitants, all the citizens of the basin where we live, aware that they can make a difference, that they can change something, that their access to information can influence the decision makers and can make a change for us. So this is what matters. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Horvat, you're coming from petrol company. You were awarded last year by Bled Water Festival also for reducing water losses. So it means that you have knowledge. But how do you use this knowledge for the development of your company, for example?
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't remember your name for guest from India. You are working for one of the biggest steel company. It's the same like us, but our company is, I think, a little bit smaller than your. Petrol was one of the biggest salesmen of the petrol products. Now it's changing from the petrol company to the energy company. I think here we can combine the same goals. Why? In this moment, we are consuming, I think, 2.5 all of the reserves from the Mother Nature, and it will end it if we will continue like this. I think in 2050. So our goal is how to make zero carbon society, or we are going in this goal. We are, of course, running on the marathon, but every young specialist who are working with us, he knows that it's important, every drop. So in this way, we are teaching them, we are mentoring them. Of course, we are in the fourth industry revolution, digitalization. I think that is crucial that our kids will have clean water.
Okay, thank you. In this first round, we've heard mostly that the information is really important. And I'll ask you, Mr. Britzel, maybe, where do you think that in Slovenia, for example, is lack of information? On which areas people should know more and they don't?
Yeah, thank you. From my point of view, the crucial is, of course, to be efficient, the work on the local level. Something is the governmental level, national level, whatever you call it, but actions are on the ground, on the very concrete local environment, very concrete catchments, very concrete water resources. And here is, let's say, some, I would say, gap again. Who is teaching or who is dealing with the right information for the population there on this very concrete environment to educate them to be wise using the natural resources, taking into account water as a very important source of life. not to spoil it. This is the first, when we are talking about the quality. And the second, to be safe, not to be washed away or, with these flash floods problems, erosions, and all what it's coming more and more frequently, also in this, let's say, Central Europe. And this is something what I'm wondering. I'm geographer. My colleagues on, let's say, in school system, universities, they're talking about it, but in general. Again, who is talking about how to manage, let's say, this famous lake Bled watershed on, let's say, appropriate way, which is, thanks God, quite okay, but really very much focused, taking into account quality for a long run, drinking water dimension, and let's say not mentioning hormones and all other new, let's say, dimensions of water pollution which are here. This is not future, this is reality now, right now. Who is monitor this? Who is reporting about that? Who is preparing action plan for that? Central government, local government, municipality, owner of the land, user. Ask all those five who. And this is something what I believe it's possible to address, very focused, to be more efficient. And not to say, no, don't ask this, go ahead with some other more pleasant questions. No, these are the central questions. And this is the work for, I believe, local governments, national governments, universities, to focus on this very, I would say, not scientific work, but it's very important work to open the eyes and to go down to the implementation of very important principles which are, sorry to say, they're not covered, but are in very nice, fancy, I don't know, governmental documents, even locals, but who are implementing them? And this is something what I believe it's definitely possible to enhance cooperation bottom up and top down. It's not needed, it's not about the new amount of money. Sorry, it's not. Thank you.
Maybe going from that, are we adapting in correct way to changes in the environment, to the climate change, to be ready before something happens? You've been mentioning floods, and we've been having droughts in Africa. Here in Slovenia, we've had floods as well. So are we changing our management of the water issues to the changes of the environment?
Frankly speaking, no. Okay? There is a very wide gap in between what we think and what we actually implement. If the implementations were 100% today, perhaps we may not have sat here discussing what are the issues. Am I right, madam? And that is the reason as to why. Yes. And in fact, that is the reason as to why there is a huge gap in between, as what I say, haves and have-nots. There are extremely good policies. In case of India, let me tell you that certain part of India is a huge country, population perhaps more than Europe in population. Certain part of India, you can practically every year see floods. But some part of India, there is no drop of water. We have thought, we have approved, the parliament has given okay, yet there is one particular problem that even media also need to address, and that internationally this is a phenomena that there is something called self-proclaimed environmentalist lobby. self-proclaimed environmentalist lobby. I challenge how much knowledge they have about environment. Okay? But it has become a business, I'm very sorry to say, but I'll be very blunt today. But this particular lobby do not allow the interlinkages of rivers in India so that wherever there is a flood, the excess water can be brought down to some part where there is no rains at all. And this is exactly the deficiency in between the policy and the implementations. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have to react. You're not asking me to speak, but I want to say something. I agree with what you're saying. I mean, we're not, the ICPDI is not, is an organization that deals with water quality, with water quantity. We are a water organization. But what I want to say is the access to information. That's what you were saying. You were talking about these environmental NGOs, etc. Well, they have access to the information, and they propagate it in a simple way. So this is what my plea is, that we have to make sure that the information, and we have a wealth of it in our organizations, in our universities, in the academia, that we make the information more accessible to the grandmother on the street, to anybody, to people who don't necessarily have these academic backgrounds that help them understand, but to everybody, because it's simple. Water is life. This is the motto of this festival. We have to make sure that this information is accessible in a simple way, and we will be even thanked by the specialists, because they'll say, okay, finally you're getting my message, my complicated but very important message across.
Maybe the Slovenia's example of policies and the reality of climate changes and everything. Mr. Toman.
Okay. About climate changes, I'm not expert of climate changes, but we normally have a relation between climate changes and water scarcity, for instance, or a lot of water and flooded. We also have in Slovenia. But I think one of the main problems today is modern way of life of all people. And they have no idea what is the real connection with water sources, the quality of the water, and the modern way of life. My colleague, Mr. Britzel, mentioned quality of water, type of modern quality of water. We have a lot of monitoring analysis also in Slovenia, but action is not very good. So we do not need so many monitoring programs. We need to act mainly in relation to some other field of interest. The first is agriculture. Not only, how to say, household and municipalities and difference between rural and other, how to say, area. But one of the main problems is how to work with land use and the problems coming from different activities. Not industry is quite, how to say, under control. But in Slovenia, we do not have very good control, for instance, in agriculture. So one of the main gap I see is between different sectors, different levels in the environment. In one side, what we use, in the other side, what kind of technologies we used to prepare water. But in some way, for the future, it's not only the technology, in the question of technology. How could we, treat it, water? How could we prepare water for drinking? The question is what kind of material we used every day. That's the problem. So we have to have more, not only education, but talking between different sectors. We do not have. Between industry, between pharmacy, agriculture activities, and so on. That is the main question today. And if I tell some words about the academic world and the university, we are very happy if we are in our lab, in our room to prepare articles, to evolve ourselves, and so on. University people is in some way, how to say, is not a part of society in a proper way. This is my view. And if you look at the media, normally you have how to say internet knowledge in media about everything, and not the real knowledge. That is also the problem. We are not, how to say, people to address others with, how to say, good information. Because no one
it's working.
In some way, no one understands us, because the language is also different. I mean, the scientific language and the useful language, and so on. So we have a lot of gaps. It's not only the gap between policymakers and people used some goods. For instance, water is one of the main goods, of course. It's not only that gap. We have a lot. In Slovenia, I think one of the main problems is that we have no talking between different sectors. That's the main information, I have to say.
Thank you very much. This short panel debate is going really fast. I will give the chance for one or two comments or questions from the audience if there is some. Anyone to jump in? Yeah, at the back.
Thank you very much. Is it on? On. Yeah. I'm József Gajer from Global Water Partnership Hungary. This is the same country water partnership as you have here in Slovenia, also chaired by Martina Župan. To my understanding, one of the main issues of this panel discussion, how to address the young generation, which will have the consequences, as you put it, what we did or our fathers did with our water. Now let me share with you an example. The GWP Hungary, it's a foundation, a couple of years ago decided to join the Stockholm Junior Water Prize competition. It was decided because one of our partners, the so-called Chamber of Engineers, made an age diagram a couple of years ago, and it turned out that the water experts in the country, or the peak of this diagram is around 60, 65 years, which is amazing, because it is obvious that older people are less, but we really miss the young generation of 25 to 35 or 40. So therefore, we decided to join the Stockholm Junior Water Prize competition, which is a great initiative to involve young people, secondary school students into the water management. It is administered by the Stockholm International Water Institute, and the international final is during the World Water Week every year, end of August. This year, probably 36 countries will compete for the prize, Stockholm Junior Water Prize, which is not only a sculpture, but also $15,000 US. And obviously, there are a first round at the national level, which should be organized, and this is what we started 5 years ago. This is what I suggest to Slovenia also, because through this initiative you can raise awareness on water, and you can also invite young people before they select their university entry. at the age of 15 to 19 or 20. This year, for instance, probably you know the wine growing region Sexard in south part of the country. A young guy of 18 years developed a project how to improve the water management of a particular valley of this wine growing area. We were able to persuade the president of the country, János Áder, to be the patron of the Hungarian competition, because the international patron or the finals patron is Her Royal Highness Victoria, Crown Princess of Sweden. So we raised the profile of this competition, and every year more and more young students join to compete, and the winner, the lucky winner, goes to Stockholm to compete for the international prize. So that's what I suggest to Slovenia as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, we have been talking about school-going kids or the children. In India, we all live in a joint family. That is, my father, who's 87 years, is with me. I take care of him. And my son, who's 27 years, is also with me. Okay? What we have been doing is those habits which are inculcated right from the childhood. This is what our belief, Indian belief, is. Those habits or the values which are inculcated in you right from your childhood can never be changed. And we are taking the advantage of that it is not student education, but it is the parents' education to tell your kid, don't waste water. Don't waste water. Because this is going to be much more costlier than gold. In India, all females are fascinated wearing golds. And I don't want to declare what kind of gold we have, but I'll just tell you that if you collect the gold of just one temple in India, that is more than the gold of the Federal Reserves of United States of America. So this is what we actually started doing in India, that to first educate the parents, which is what is the need of the hour. If you only open the tap of the water and the water is just flowing, what will you tell your own kids? How will you convince them don't waste water? This is what we are doing in India. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to sum up a little bit with two short questions in the end. Mr. Horvat, maybe, if you tell us, because we're talking about knowledge and passing it to the new generations, how are you passing knowledge in a company to the new generation so they will go on with the, let's say, same policy?
When I started to work, 20 years ago, I was talking that last year, and I will repeat it today. I had a very good mentor. He was, 65 years old, but he gave me all the knowledge that I needed for what I'm working now. Work with water. I had some deviations from the water sector, but the path was always working with water. With young professionals, I'm doing the same like he was doing with me. So the best practice, best knowledge, attitude to the water, and of course, if you don't have attitude to the nature, you don't have attitude to the water. I can say one thing more. It's not so black. We are going in the right way, but as I said before, this is a long run on the long track. I visited in past years Eastern countries, Romania, Bulgaria. They had all the knowledge that they need. It's public sector and private sector. Okay, we are helping them to go in the right way. Really, they have the knowledge, but they are a little bit slow. Okay, we all know why it's happening. It's national and, of course, national regularity, but I think we are in the right way and we will succeed in the end.
Okay, thank you. And maybe, Anna Kampic, to the end, you are part of the new generation, and we've been talking about the information a lot, but what is the information you as a young person would like to have more, to be more to be taking more care of water issues, water management, to take care of the water? Are there any information you would like to need, and from whom?
So if I start, it's very important that you start with environment, taking care of an environment as a little child, because when you grow up, you still have these things in your head. So we should start giving the younger population the information about taking care of environment, water, and everything with that. So, but today, maybe there is a problem with that information that we're talking about. So we, the youngsters, I think we have a huge chance to give that to the older persons, and also to the younger persons. So so with that, we could all be more. With that, we should all take care more of the nature and water itself. So it's very, very important. So to do that, to share information to the older generations, but also to the younger people.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically,
it's not only the problem of education in a school. Mm-hmm. It's education of society, education of how we live, how we express all our life in relation to nature. This is important, not only school. School is just official. I believe you do not have enough information from the school in that way.
Maybe it's also, it depends from your family and how you're raised. This is the main purpose of all. And then the education at school and so on. If you see I don't know, some things on social media and that stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but for me, from this discussion, there are two main messages for me, what I heard from all of you, to very important. It's not about the technology or lack of data or media. It's enough of data, even I said eutrophication of data, even of media and all this. But very important message for me is, as the professor said, the people do not communicate to each other. With all these media, fancy emails and all, Facebooks, and they do not talk to each other, but the people who are responsible for, let's say, integrated approach, and they do not talk. Do you hear me? They do not talk. In official institutions appointed to be, responsible for. Yeah, this is, for me, very important message. Now, taking into account, I don't know, governmental level or ministries, we heard how it's on the universities. They do not talk. Can you imagine? Huh? And how to improve this situation? This should be such a roundtable, I don't know, on university or I don't know where, on Ministry for Education. Why do they not? Why the families, thanks God that they are such a culture still alive and efficient, but why the official system of education of schools not open the eyes for the youngsters to take care about their own catchment, about their own water resources of drinking water in their valley, in their very local conditions. Why do they not talk about it? Who will take over? Private company, landlord, or who? And we do have in constitutions free access to the water resources. Who will do the job? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Let's just finish this with a call for communication between generations, between institutions, between different sectors, and so on. I thank you all for your thoughts. This was a brief, short debate for the beginning of this water festival, and there will be plenty more in the upcoming hours and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Bakic, to lead this debate. So I think we all agree, not that just preparing of drinkable water is important, but the most important is that this services, community services don't have job. We may not pollute the water. We may not spoil it, and then we will all have a very good drinking water. And Slovenia has still a very good drinking water in all regions. So after we are finishing, I invite you all to taste the water from different regions in Slovenia and to also vote for the best water in our hall. And then afterwards, of course, after drinking water, tasting water, you will be able to drink a glass of wine. Not that you say that we in Gorenska are so greedy that we don't give you any wine. Of course, you're invited to participate on other debates during the day in the hall where you reached your accreditations. You can also see the whole program of this event of Bled Water Festival. And maybe to answer to Mr. from Hungary, Bled Water Festival has a competition for schools to do some works, some writing, some movies about water principal school, primary schools and high schools. And tomorrow we will also award the best of those schools and maybe an idea to pass the best works further to Sweden. Thank you very much again to be part of this opening ceremony, and see you tomorrow by the closing ceremony of this Bled Water Festival.